area, by the way. A place, and embarrassingly enough, I've never been to before.
Really?
If you can possibly believe that.
Oh my God.
Never in my life have I been to ancient Shilo. I've done patrols here for years, but never actually stepped foot inside.
Oh my God.
Magnificent.
And where was the first time?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I don't know if everybody's up right now.
I'm not up yet. I'm up, but
We're waiting. And we are here, Judean Roundtable live, not necessarily in Judea, we're in Samaria.
That's right.
But it's the biblical heartland of Israel. We are here with magnificent people. Please introduce yourselves to the world.
Avi Abelo, Israel Video Network, IsraelOnWire.com, home.
Josh Hasten, also home. Yeah, I think that's best, no? We're here.
And our couple special guests today. Special guest number one, Maria.
Maria Shapira. I live here in Shilo.
True home, as you're all saying. This is her home. I'm Ben Goldstein, and
I'm Gedalia Bloom from Nota BDS, and I actually live right up the hill, so I was very happy to do Judean Roundtable. It didn't take me 2 hours to get to.
well,
Very happy.
Thank you all for tuning in from all over the world. We have a special guest we're going to bring in pretty soon, so stay tuned and share this with your friends. But where we are today is magnificent ancient Shilo, a place that connects the Jewish nation to the land of Israel for over 3,000 years. How many years exactly? Over 3,000 years. Now, understand, if you go to ancient Rome, you see something that's 1,000 years old. We are right now in a place that's 3,000 years connected to our people. Our DNA is infused in this land, and we're here today to talk to a person whose DNA was literally raised in this land. She spent her life digging in the dirt of this land and bringing out the magnificence that is Jewish history connected to Israel. So thank you all for tuning in no matter where you are in the world. We're going to try hard to get some of your questions today, but it's difficult when our face is on the wrong side of the camera. Today, did we want to start with some talk about where we're sitting, which I think is the most important thing.
Totally.
If you wanted to discuss exactly the room we're in, which isn't like any other room that I've been in, if you could please tell the world where we sit right now.
First of all, we're in the first capital city of Israel.
Right.
Before Jerusalem, that many people know, the capital city was here for 369 years. That's a long period of time. If you think of the state of Israel, 70 years, a little bit more. So it's actually the center of Israel during 3 books of the Bible, the Tanakh. Joshua, Judges, the beginning of Samuel. All the stories happened here, and people from all over Israel came here 3 times a year to sacrifice and pray. Just imagine it. All the people come here.
How many people would come here during the 3 holy festivals of Israel? They would come from all over Israel, I would assume. All the way as far as probably Beersheba, Hebron, Yerushalayim, Beit Lechem, making the trek like we did up Route 60, that was Derech Havot, all the way up to where you were born. But why here? Why not other places?
That's a very good question. So I wish I had the map of Israel to show you. If you look at the map, divided into tribes, like it was in the time of the Bible, you see Shilo right in the center. People call Tel Aviv the center, but we are actually right in the center of
So this is the geographical center line of the land of Israel.
Yes, and it's the tribe of Ephraim. Joshua, the leader, was the tribe of Ephraim, so maybe it had a political reason.
I see. Well, who would think that politics would have been then like it is now?
This is the heart. I mean, if you look at Israel like a straight line, if you stand up, have you ever do this with any of your kids or whatnot?
Yep.
To teach them about the land of Israel. If you stand a straight line, put your hand on your head, there's the Golan, this and that. Shilo, right here, right in the middle.
I've never done
the heart. Yeah, we'll do it afterwards. We're going to do it right now.
Well, you should all do it.
So I have a question, Moria. As you know, this is a political show, okay? So I have a question for you. A lot of people, I actually was on the AIPAC website the other day, and I looked at a map of Israel, and they had Judea and Samaria cut out, and it said West Bank on it. But on top of it, to show what exactly the map was, it started showing how Israel returned to the land after 2,000 years of exile, and this is where Israel is. And they cut out where we were. So now you just said that we live where the center of Jewish life was before an exile. What would you say to people around the world that believe that the Jewish people...
I like to tell you a story about my childhood. When I was 4 years old, after we came here and discovered Shilo, we were a few families here. The whole story maybe I'll tell it afterwards. But in the middle of the night, my father woke me up. And he said, you have to come now to the ancient city to see something. I'm like all confused, I'm 4, but he took me out of bed and brought me here. And we're going to the edge of the city, and I see many people digging the ancient site, and they're all excited. And I'm like, Abba, what happened? Father, what's going on here? He told me they found the storage rooms of the tabernacle, or the Mishkan. They found huge jars with remains of raisins and things that you could date exactly the time of the tabernacle. They found 50 huge jars like this from the time of the tabernacle, something that wasn't found anywhere in Israel. And they said this must be something big. It's not something private. The archaeologists said these are the storage rooms of the tabernacle. So
That's unreal.
So when you come here and see it in your eyes, you don't have a lot of questions.
So the Ark of the Covenant sat here for how long? 369 years, the tabernacle. That's amazing.
I just want to tell people, when you come here, you see where the tabernacle is. But before you see where the tabernacle is, you get into a special room to watch a movie. And the movie is a very emotional movie, very well done, very high tech, up to speed. And it's not just exciting to watch the historical movie about where you are here in Shilo, but it's after the movie. I'm not going to tell people. I'm not telling people what happens after the movie. But you gotta come. You gotta come see the movie. You gotta come see what happens after the movie. And then you can actually walk with your own 2 feet to the place where the tabernacle was. And you see the rock formation in the ground that really is proof in and of itself showing that's where the tabernacle was. So you gotta come here to see it.
And by the way, if you are hearing background noise, the reason is just over here, right behind us, a group is actually here. A group of tourists visiting. I'm gonna, from where?
Shalom, everybody, welcome.
From Taiwan.
Welcome to Israel.
A group of people from Taiwan. And people should know, 2018, by the way, was a record year in tourism in this country with 4 million visitors. And it looks like it's continuing into 2019. And I definitely salute people all the way from Taiwan visiting the ancient Jewish town of Shilo. Unfortunately, it's a place where, and you could probably relate to this, not a lot of Israelis will even come and visit. I mean, can you talk a little bit about, those who actually do come, some who may not come? I mean, what's that all about?
So we have here, it's growing really, 1,000 of people that come here every year. A lot of them are tourists from all over the land, every country that you could just think of. And also some Israelis, but we would really like to see more Israelis and more tourists. Many people that I met here said, I'm coming to Israel more than 20 times and I never came to Shilo. Now that I was here, all my groups will come here. I'll bring everybody because they feel the place.
How do people get in touch with you? How do people come here? They come into tour group, they want to come to Israel. How do they come to Shilo? How do they get here?
Usually they'll ask their agency to make sure that the group goes into Shilo, and most of the agencies work with us and will take you here. Sometimes the head of the group will insist and then they will come.
Would you ever pick anybody up and drop them? Maybe. Great. It was great having you here. Thank you for hosting us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Magnificent.
Thank you.
Beautiful institution.
And if we still have some sunlight at the end, we'll take our cameras out and show everybody where the tabernacle stood. It's really beautiful here.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
Bye. Shalom, shalom.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're swapping out.
Part two.
We've got a special guest joining us from all the way around the world.
What, from down under?
I come from a land down under, and here's a man, Avram Yamini, who is a voice, a powerhouse, a supporter of Israel and truth. And we're going to bring him on and let him tell his side of his story to the world as well. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks
in
for
the
having me.
biblical heartland. I know it's been a trip, jet lag and everything. It's a tough flight, and I know you're really meeting a lot of people every day. But what to you so far has been your most exciting aspect of being in Israel?
Well, every time I come to Israel, it's exciting. I think there's nothing like Israel. You've got a blend of culture, and for somebody who likes to party, I'm an Aussie. There's great parties in Israel. The food is unbelievable.
For all you that speak English, what he's saying is party. He likes to party.
Party.
Not party.
And then you obviously have the political side of it, which to me and a lot of the people that follow what I do is interesting, because I think Israel is really a light unto nations. when it comes to dealing with a lot of the issues that now the rest of the West is starting to have to deal with.
And how does that affect in Australia when you're grassroots on the ground fighting the good fight? Do you feel a general sense that people respect Israel? They could care less about Israel? Where's the fight?
Sensible people get it, but you obviously have a lot of people from all sides working really hard against the truth and creating this, we were talking about it the other day,
Right.
where you have the far left, the far right, and the Muslim community all sharing this same narrative which demonizes Israel. The only tiny little state that if you come and visit, you will see for yourself is truly the only democracy in this hellhole of an area. Right? The Middle East is not a pretty place, but this place is gorgeous.
Absolutely beautiful.
Stalin has a name for those people that he used. He used to call them useful idiots.
Yes.
So now the Islamists are using these useful
Absolutely.
idiots, and they know when they're looking at these people that they're so condescending towards them. They're looking at things superficially. They only see a brown face and somebody who's not exceeding in this world, and they feel bad for them. Obviously, for them it's a zero-sum game. If you're not doing well, it must be because it's because someone else is doing well. And so this way we have to even it out.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, they're living in the dark ages, and how are you going to get ahead when you're destroying things? I mean, what happened when we left Gush Katif, and the World Bank bought the greenhouses to give to the Arabs? What did they do? What did they do?
The World Bank, Jews.
The World Bank and Jews, but they lobbied for it because they wanted peace and prosperity for them. What did they do? They ran there and dismantled the pipes and built bombs out of it. And the Koreans, they're doing the opposite of from weapons to plowshare. What is that saying?
Yep.
Right.
Beat
Beat your swords into plowshares.
Beat your sword into plowshares.
That's what
They're taking their
Judaism
plowshares
teaches.
and turning into swords.
They take the plowshares, we give them to be self-sufficient and succeed. Right? What did Israel say? You can have Singapore and Gaza. They don't want Singapore and Gaza. They don't want Israel. It's not about creating a Singapore for themselves. It's about destroying Israel. That's more important to them.
So when you're here sitting in ancient Shilo, which connects our land to you and to us from obviously different parts of the world, does it bring you the ability to then bring back that power back home and say, I stood on this ground. I've seen Route 60 and the cars with Arab license plates that are passing me. As a matter of fact, driving here, I saw a sign for Kentucky Fried Chicken in Arabic. And I was doing a live video driving here, and I'm like, the horror! They don't have a Church's or a Popeyes instead of a KFC.
Do you know where it is, by the way? If you keep going north from here at Tepuach Junction near Har Bracha,
Yeah.
where there was almost a terror attack the other day. There's right behind that red sign that says "No Jews Allowed."
That's what KFC.
There's a KFC.
Yep.
Alara in the village.
It would be very interesting to actually take a picture of that KFC and write to their corporate and saying, I would love to be able to go to your restaurants. Unfortunately, two reasons. Number one, they don't let Jews in there. Two, it's not kosher.
3, if I try to go there, they'll kill me.
Yeah, you'll be the chicken.
I'll be.
I think. Look, for me personally, the experience of Israel is exciting on a number of levels. You've got obviously the Jewish roots. You've got my family. My mum's family is from here. You talk about Gush Katif. My uncle and all these kids they were kicked out of Gush Katif during the disengagement. In fact, that was right when I joined the army. Was around that period. But I think the best part about being in somewhere like this, which is this part of Israel. And I'm not going to share their narrative. This is Israel. This part of Israel is demonized so much. And you come here and you see regular people just literally living each day to its fullest. And, when you actually hear some of the horror stories that come in, you can't believe it's these same people that have been through it because they don't act like victims. You look at, many other cultures, they take on the victim. In fact, the Palestinians here next door, that's all they live and breathe is victimhood. And that's why they will never turn any land and give them into.
And that's by the way, that's a sharp contrast, by the way, of the victimhood mentality. Who were probably the biggest victims of genocide in the last century? The Jewish people were. I know people who are multimillionaires who were Holocaust survivors.
Right,
That's
lost
insane. If anything, you want to talk about victimhood, let's create this class where everybody can sit online or on class and say, how do you not become a victim? Let's learn from the Jews. It's such a contrast. But
And-
for,
go
No, go
finish.
ahead.
And so I was going to say, I personally hate having to post articles and videos about terror attacks. Why? I have to because it happens. But I hate it because it puts us as victims. I don't want to be the victim anymore. I'm 2,000 years of victimhood, and we have our own homeland, we have our own army, and us living in our ancestral homeland should be an inspiration to the liberal world, to the indigenous rights world, that we came out of our victimhood and we're developing a successful society for all minorities who live with us back in our homeland. We've succeeded.
not just
I don't
that,
want to
but
be a
we're
victim
creating,
anymore.
but we're creating a bastion of liberal democracy within a region that is still in the Dark Ages. So again,
Correct,
the
and
contrast,
helping them.
and well, helping them by default, whether they want our help or not.
Correct.
Because the more, as who said this last time we spoke, Yishai Fleischer said last time we met, how the right wing he wants this right wing blanket to go over across the whole Middle East, because that only a right wing government that is
Right.
quote unquote occupying is
But what
right.
you're saying is, under us right-wing extremists, Arabs get rights, the Muslims get to live in equality and human rights, and it's the liberal governments that allow them to wallow in their ancient mentalities and murder themselves and murder the minorities that live with them. So they are not helped by the liberal mindset,
Right.
they're helped by us right-wing extremists that actually want a better life for us and everyone who lives with us.
And unfortunately, and it hurts me to say it, and I think I might have said it last week also, it is, in many cases, it's actually Jews who want to see us continue to be the victims. They hold on to it and embrace it, and it doesn't really matter. They claim that they care about the Arabs in this area and that they care about peace and prosperity and whatnot. But in reality, they're the ones who are setting them back. And I don't even want to say the names of this week. I don't want to say the names of these organizations inspired by you, not wanting to use those fake names. But these organizations, you can see them on Twitter or whatnot. One of them said that, Birthright calls this place Judean Samaria. No, that's not true. This area is called the West Bank. Okay?
No, it was worse than that.
Yeah.
They said the ancient
Judean Samaria.
The ancient terms of this land is Judean Samaria, but they stole it from
the West Bank, or whatever
Right.
it is.
It
But the
was
bottom
crazy.
line is, it's some of our own, unfortunately, who are holding on to the narrative, who just cannot escape being the victim. We must be the victim, because if we're not the victim, then that must mean that we're the oppressors. And they're holding on to that narrative and spewing lie after lie after lie each and every day. So hopefully this Judean Roundtable and the things we're doing here will debunk that myth that we are the victims. We are not, as you said, even though we have attacks and things happen, we, after 2,000 years, we had enough of this nonsense. I could say a lot of other words too.
It's
We're not the
ironic, but
victims.
it's ironic that we're sitting in a place that you just said was when were the Jews hit?
3,000 years.
3,000 years ago, and the outside world claims that the Jews have stolen it from people that have existed maybe 40, 50 years.
Right.
I don't even understand how anybody can take that in and even swallow that.
It's a
Well, no, I don't-
well-oiled PR propaganda machine, and a lot of people bought into it, and that's how it happens.
But it's a global problem, and I'm glad that you're here because you know that these lies from what are self identified as people being liberals, you can see it also in Australia, right? So it's not necessarily about Israel, and I know because
It's
that's
a
all we
global
see,
struggle.
but it's a global struggle. So what's going on right now in Australia with the contrast between liberal and extremist right vis-a-vis the Islam and
Well, I think it's like everywhere at the moment. You know, like I'm considered an extremist far right, probably like some of you guys here.
probably more.
Probably more, yeah. Because I say Islam more often than you. But the fact is that there is a problem with the far right. There is actually, you can't deny it, and I always say it. And the fact is they hate people like us more than anyone. They hate us just as much as the jihadis hate us. They hate us just as much as the far left extremists. And I'm willing to call them out. But stop putting me in that box. And they keep doing that. And they do it especially to demonize us as people who are speaking out. they will compare you to terms like Nazis. I wear it. Look, I grew up in a religious house. I do not believe. I do not really care. I am a proud Jew. I wear a kippah, especially to events where I think they're going to call me a Nazi, just to show how ironic and how warped and silly it is. And in fact, I do it, and I keep telling people I want to empower you not to be. Don't take those labels on. Don't let it silence you, unless you really are. Unless you really are from that far right, then you're an idiot. Then you're feeding into the same narratives as those who you claim to be against. But as the left and right in Australia are just as bad. I see it here in Israel. But in Israel, it gives me a bit of hope. I believe that personally, like in Israel, you can sort of be a conservative, you can be a bit right wing, and you don't get labelled as badly. At least my experience here when I've walked around talking to people, even for example, just asking people. I went around about a year ago asking people what they think about Trump. Right. And I found that even the left wingers that I spoke to, they said he's nuts, but he has good foreign policy.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So they could accept his policy for the policy, not the personality.
Right. That's really interesting you're saying that, because again, you were saying the labels, left wing, conservative, far right, and I think we spoke about this maybe the other day when I ran into the show.
I had a few drinks.
You had a few drinks, right?
He doesn't remember.
That we need to stop using labels and start focusing on issues. Because when you focus on the issues, there's no left or right. When you're talking about
right and wrong.
When you're talking about pedophilia, there's not right or wrong. It's either you're sick and you need to be castrated or locked up, or you don't do it and you're acting like a normal person. Unfortunately, when you talk about Islam and how bad it is, people call you
Islamophobe.
Racist. But if you call Muhammad a pedophile, right? And he was the perfect, as you keep saying, he was the perfect prophet. And so
3 minutes, this video is getting banned. I just said Muhammad and pedophile in one sentence.
So let's just say, okay, strike the labels pedophile. Let's say a grown man who marries and has sexual intercourse with a 9-year-old or 12-year-old or even a 16-year-old is looked at as being the perfect person for billions of people around the world.
And has to be emulated. Some people might not do it because maybe they're being reformed or they don't feel like it's not part of their thing. But overall, it's accepted within the religion. By calling that one issue out, pedophilia being accepted amongst a cult is called Islamophobia. Why is that?
You have the same thing with spousal abuse in Islam. It's rampant.
And female genital mutilation. It's out there. The issue's out
That's
there.
not an Islamic thing, though. I think that's a cultural thing. Because also they do that in Africa Christians.
Well,
Whatever.
Regardless,
Anyway.
but these issues are out there.
Right.
And still a certain camp of people are ignoring it. You go, I mean, this more than one of the rest of us. You go to these protests. Right? And some of these people are good people.
Gays for Palestine.
Right, gays for Palestine.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you go up to them, you say, do you
luck
know
with
what's
that.
happening to you in Gaza?
Sure.
You know what's happening to your people in Gaza, to gays in Gaza? They're being killed, they're being thrown off the roofs. They won't deal with it. They'll walk away. They don't know how to deal with You're
It's because you
messing
deal with
with
the
their
issues.
identity.
That's what you have to do. You have to speak about the issues, though.
And a majority of them won't go there. They don't want to accept what you're saying. They don't want to listen. They will walk away.
It's not even about Islam. In general, I find the left, anytime you come up, you talk about issues, they come back with labels.
Right.
And
that's how they shut it down.
That's how they shut it down.
They go for the emotional reaction.
Absolutely.
And that's their 10 seconds they need. Cut that up with another few 10-second reactions, and they've got their Pallywood video of the day.
Right. And I'm not saying not to do that. Like what Avi does, or anyone out there who doesn't, goes into their faces and just brings up the issues. So it could be that the activist right in front of you won't listen, but it could be that some other
I tell people
around.
all the time, you're not playing to the activist in front of you. You're playing to, you want everyone else to see it. I've done videos, and again, this was something we talked about the other day, where literally I went to a rally. For me, this is one of the highlights of my life. I went to a rally where it was a Hezbollah and Hamas rally together in Melbourne, in my city.
Wait,
it
they
was
joined
only-
forces?
Yeah,
The
they
Shia
joined.
and the Sunni
The Shia and the Sunni.
came
Well,
together.
they were united. They had one
Okay.
united enemy, the Jew.
Must have been
And
some
yeah,
great
well,
football.
they loved their little chant they were singing there. And they said, and they're marching there. They were running there was a Hezbollah flag in the air with a bunch of jihadis, and a transgender man, woman, I don't care, whatever it was, right there. And I just turned, I go, listen, these people here, if that flag ever ruled these streets, I'm dead. But you know what? You're going to get thrown off the tallest building first, because their scripture says so. And the irony is lost on them. And they stand and they go, you're the Islamophobe, you're just a Zionist, they start throwing all these labels, child killer, this and that.
Nazi, you're the Zionist Nazi.
You know, and then when they'll say, oh, you proudly served in the IDF, that means you're a proud child killer.
So you know what? Good. Let them have Islam. Let them reap the rewards
Just not in my
of what
country.
they have sowed.
You're coming back to Israel, man.
No, let those. I always say that. Let the transgender person who wants to stand there under a Hezbollah flag go live there. Go live there. Gays for Palestine.
wait, question,
go
question.
live in Palestine.
Wait, question: was the Hezbollah flag a political one, or was it the war?
This is
the
the way.
war wing?
The militants.
This is the way they get
military
around
wing
it.
or the political
Yeah.
part?
It's not that
Was
one.
it
It's
the
a
part?
big
Everyone
It
who's
It
listening,
works.
he's making a joke because that's what the media tries to
No,
separate.
but that's how they
policy.
that's how they get away. That's how they get away with it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm telling everyone who's watching he made a
But
joke.
it's not,
There
but
is no
but there's-
separation.
There is no separation, but the
It's
scary
the same.
thing is that our government in Australia, the British government, they
And
allow them to
EU,
fly.
I think
They
also.
allow to fly these flags because they say that
Make
is
a
the political wing.
differentiation between the so-called political wing and the.
They all have
We're
the
the
same
political
charter.
terrorists. They're just political terrorists. They're kosher, right?
Right.
But understand, we are in an ever-enclosing environment. Whereas it's almost as if here in this basilica, with all of the echoes around us, sometimes, and you know the feeling, it's as if you're talking to an echo, talking to yourself. Because you look at the world around us and you think to yourself, all you gotta do is open up your cell phone to Facebook Live and see what's happening instead of the garbage you're being fed every day. But I almost truly believe those who are truly lost are truly blind. They will never open their eyes to what
But you know what? Let's give the global population the benefit of the doubt. Most people don't care about Israel. Most people don't care about Islam. Most people don't care about a lot of things, right?
Apathy.
forced to that.
There's a lot of apathy.
Yeah.
Did you say this in one of your videos with you? I wrote it down actually.
Yeah.
You're-
I think we were talking about the same thing.
worst enemy is not the left, it's not the far left, it's
apathy.
apathy.
Within
And I
apathy.
think that's why this is important, and that's why what you do is important, that's why everybody does on their own important, is that we speak out. Not to change the minds of the 10 to 15, 20% of the people who are gung-ho, crazy,
Yeah, absolutely.
lunatics. And not the 20% of the people that support us, that are preaching to the choir. There's an 80% of the people in the middle that either are apathetic, they would care if they knew, or they do care but they don't have an opinion yet. And those are the people that we have to follow. Just like if you're in a debate with somebody and you're not going to change their mind in a debate. Your job is to humiliate them and to turn everybody in the middle to your side. Because you're not going to change the mind of the people who already support them.
It's the same thing with media coverage in Israel. And I've seen this for years and years and years, working with the press and hanging out with the press. You have those who show up in Israel with a straight-out anti-Israel agenda, and you're never going to change their minds. You have a few who are pro-Israel, and then you have those in between who are dropped here by their editors, don't know anything about Israel, don't know anything about anything to do with what's going on and the realities in this country. And it's our job, those who are here on the ground, to reach those people before they fall into the trap of the PA and the PLO propaganda machine and convince them, because they are apathetic.
What's going on today in the news that you would say that's relevant to what you're saying?
What's going on today in the news?
Just to throw it out there,
Go ahead.
regarding Amona, for instance.
Yeah.
Okay? And I just wanted to ask this based on certain things going on politically. How can the world look at Israel and say, oh, I stand by your side? When our own people are throwing our own people out of our own homes, we can't keep avoiding this.
It's hard. That's why you have to say to those who are saying, there are people out there saying, I would never come on Aliyah because look at what your government's doing, this and that. But if you're gonna, speak from afar, you're not gonna come over here and create the change on your own.
Right.
Then nothing's gonna change. If 1 million American Jews made Aliyah tomorrow, you would see a completely different landscape, I believe. In all levels, from top down, you would see a different
Or
State of
even if
affairs.
5,000 Jews in the local seminaries and yeshivas here that were barred from
Right.
coming to where we're sitting, barred from going to the Kotel, the Western Wall in Jerusalem, because of the security situation where it's more dangerous in Chicago or in New York or in Florida where they come from. If those 5,000 plus their parents and grandparents would flood this area, it would be, like you say,
Yeah.
a new reality.
Great.
Just going back to what we were talking about before, and then I'll go back and then come and jump forward. It was interesting because you were saying most people in the care don't care about Israel. They don't care about the problems of Islam. They just want to live their lives. But the funny thing is, the only countries in the world and the only people in the world who will survive the current Third World War that's taking place right in front of our eyes with the world of Islam, the only ones who will survive that, who whether they care or not, they start understanding and supporting Israel.
You know what's interesting
Because
about
we're the
that as
ones
well?
on the
Yeah.
front line
Well,
defending
you know they say
them.
innovation
Anyone
is
who would-
the
so
what is that saying about something is the trigger to innovation? Necessity.
Necessity.
Is the trigger of innovation. And so too, I think that when they realize that this political war that they call it a political war in Israel is actually not. It's a religious war, and that the borders are in Melbourne, they're in London, they're in New
The whole
York,
world.
they're in all these different places now.
We're the canary in the coal mine. That's really what it is.
Europe,
At the end of the day.
Europe is also waking up. By the way, I mean they're not.
Absolutely.
They're no. The security services are in line and on the phone every single day with Israeli intelligence. We have been responsible for numerous thwarting of
France,
terrorist
that
acts.
there was a Hezbollah terror attack in France that we stopped.
Yeah.
I think it didn't hit the headlines with Israeli
They're
intelligence.
literally coming here. They're sending as they blast Israel in the news and call us occupiers and apartheidists and murderers and baby killers and everything we've heard, which is ridiculous. They're here with our government learning how to fight that same evil.
And
Right.
there are Israelis
hypocrisy.
now, the South African farmer, I just came back from South Africa, the farmers there are now calling Israeli security experts, and they're going down to South Africa to teach them techniques of how to keep their property safe. They're turning to
Yeah.
Israel for help. Israel, this apartheid country that did all these accusations. At the end of the day, they're coming to Israel,
It's
ironically,
amazing.
from that country and asking for help in their security issues.
Ask Ben how many times he got a phone call or email from people in America, institutions.
Where
That's
do you
Israel.
stand, the world that's watching this? You go to church, you go to synagogue, you go to the community centers, you walk down the street. Where exactly do you stand when you see somebody burning an Israeli flag or calling Israel a baby killer? Do you stop and say something? Or, as has been said today, do you allow that apathy to turn into cruelty? So we all have to do our part, even you watching this, no matter where it is.
I think everybody, that's the most important part, and I think that's my biggest goal personally, is to encourage others to speak up, because it doesn't matter how big your following becomes, doesn't matter how many people listen to you specifically, until you normalize conversation. That's what my favorite thing about Trump. Actually, I've got a lot of favorite things about Trump these days. His Twitter is one of them, but the fact that he's normalized a lot of conversations that before the Trump era, you were kind of alone and everybody kind of thought it alone. That's how he won. He was saying exactly what everyone was thinking by themselves behind their own computer, but they weren't speaking out.
Listen, a personal, following that thought, a personal journey for me as well. And I'm very opinionated in my politics. It's connected to my identity. It's connected to standing up for the Jewish people and Israel and the freedom-loving world. But it took a while for me to get comfortable being so outspoken of my views on social media. All this me putting stuff out there. But what convinced me to do it and to continue doing it? Because I realized, you know what? I'm very confident in my thoughts. And if I'm confident, it's hard for me, then it's even harder for those people who are not confident of standing up for Israel or their personal security or their country or their patriotism.
Yes.
But so if I do it, then that'll help others
Yeah, but it's different.
feel
though.
more
It's different.
comfortable and
Hold on,
be
though.
more
We give a
confident
voice.
in their
No,
own
but
right
it's different.
for their,
No, but
for
talking about
themselves
trying
to
to-
stand up in their own communities, in their own homes.
I have a very
in their
close
own
friend named
organizations.
Lisa who's probably watching this right now from America. A strong supporter of Israel, but for years has been enclosed in her shell because if you say anything about Israel, even in your synagogue, you're a pariah.
That's what I was going to say. You have the luxury of leading Israel Video Network. No one's.
But I wasn't talking
No,
about.
but this is no. But I'm saying though. But your name associated with being outspoken is not. You're not going to go into work the next day and your boss is going to say, "Listen, Avi, we got to talk."
But that's
fine. But my point is not whether they. My point is even for a friend or family member sitting at the Shabbat table or at the water cooler at work,
Right.
not having, and all of a sudden everyone's bringing up the headlines of bashing Israel, them not being influenced by what they hear. If they're not confident in arguing, don't be confident, but at least they won't be influenced because someone out there, whether it's you, Avi, Josh, Ben, or me, is talking what they're thinking in their heads. They're not alone anymore to think that way.
But I think that when it comes to that issue, and they used to be able to, especially 10 years ago, they used to pick us off one by one because there was only one person daring to speak out. I think you need to keep encouraging people, just, have a little bit of guts, and when you see somebody burning a flag, or in an environment where you feel safe enough, you don't have to put yourself in harm's
Well,
way.
I've seen you go in places.
I'm an
that-
idiot.
No, but you go
You're
to
in the
you're-
company of idiots. So you know.
And you know
No,
what?
I
You know what
personally
also helps?
go in there, but this,
You got to use that accent. Man. You got that Australian accent.
that works here, not in
British
Australia.
accent or South African accent. You are automatically the expert. I'm telling you, man. The American thing
not in
doesn't
Australia.
work.
He's on the streets of Australia.
Maybe maybe the Tennessee, the Southern drawl works a little better, but the three of us, we got to work on one of these accents. You are the expert automatically. I'm telling you.
You made a good point that you want to engage people, you want to encourage people to talk, and I've seen a lot of your videos.
Yeah.
And your videos are in the face. You're getting out the truth. You're humiliating people because you're just speaking the truth. And until they start stuttering, or they come out with "you Jews are all terrible," and then you expose them. You're like, "Thank you very much, everybody. I'll see you later." But what I would,
you're Jewish.
what I would like to see,
Forget it.
what I would like to see though, is you going into a coffee shop that's very quiet. There's nothing going on there. Sitting down with a cup of coffee and you saying, "Excuse me, can you join me?" And doing an interview with people on the street that are not part of this. They're part of the 80% or whatever it is. And I would like to see. I would personally, as a viewer of your work, I would love to see what people on the ground of Melbourne really think. And, maybe only turn the cameras on after the
About specifically Israel or general?
No, just in general, because again, when we start making these issues about Israel, we lose. The issue
The issue isn't Israel.
It's about liberal democracy,
Israel,
it's about
like,
civil
before it
liberties.
is.
Our issue is not about Israel. Our issue is the front line of the freedom-loving world.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
My issue's about Israel.
It is. You're
Honestly, I don't think the world is on our side. On a majority scale, I believe that we are a part of the few. The meek shall inherit the earth. And I don't consider myself meek at all, neither are any of us. But then again, I mentioned Lisa, who didn't have a voice before us. You know what she told me in the last conversation? She's come out of her shell. She is saying exactly how she feels in front of everyone, no matter what it takes.
Lisa, you're a legend.
She's fighting.
Send me your number.
And that's because of what we're doing.
I'm sure all of us get this, whether it's walking in the street, whether it's messages in all the different messaging apps out there saying, "Thank you.
Thank you.
I listened to you. Thank God someone's saying that.
Yes.
Thank you." So many people all the time. And these are people who are not necessarily
That's
outspoken.
actually funny because, people always tell me, "Oh, don't you get attacked all the time when you walk down?" And I live in my body. "Oh, you're the most hated person in Australia." Same as Tommy Robinson. They label him as the most hated person in Britain. And I'd walk the streets with him, and same with me in Australia, but even more so, him in Britain, we'll
What's
walk
the
around.
press that's saying
You
that?
know how many people walk up and just go, "Thank you," quietly, and then there's a minority that you see giving you those dirty, and they don't have the guts to engage you.
You bring up Tommy Robinson, and I would like to say publicly, Tommy, if you're watching, number one, we have your back, right? I live in
You'll
Samaria.
be here in May.
I live here in Samaria. I raise my children here. I raise them to be proud Jews and proud human beings. And I know that you do also, and maybe not Jews to your kids, but proud human beings. And we're going to be here. And when you come here to Israel, I want to invite you to come, and I want to show you Judean Samaria. I want to show you Samaria up here. I want to show you around to meet the people, to meet the blue-collar people on the ground who are building this community. And I think that to have the same respect for humanity and for work and everything that you do. And so I think that he'll definitely click into this community.
He's a perfect example because, you say the fight is, when we say it's not about Israel, somebody like Tommy, he's the perfect example of how he gets it. You know, as they say in the right wing, red pill. But unfortunately, a lot of those that talk like that, they're not very red pilled.
I don't even know what that means.
What does that mean?
Oh, from the Matrix.
What is it?
Oh, the red pill!
You've been
Oh,
red
pill.
pilled. You've got it, and now you see
We didn't
That's
understand.
the red
Red
pill.
pill, red pill.
We translated it.
The red
subtitles. But you know the labels he gets all the time thrown at him, and especially from that far right more than anyone, is you're a Zionist, Shilo, and he's got nothing in it for himself to stand up and defend Israel.
Right.
Besides the fact that he actually gets that Israel's on the front line. So, and I
Because
think
he's issues based. Again, I've seen him. He talks about issues,
100%.
and unfortunately, the response is calling him a racist.
And our
comment.
Jewish community leadership are the worst for that. You know, they will condemn someone like him where he is our biggest ally.
It's okay. They're also condemning me.
Yeah,
for where I live.
I need to look up, just Google Avi Yemini. I think one of the top stories is Avi Yemini does not represent us.
Oh, really?
What is that, a website?
Australian Jewish news.
That was his family. That was your family.
No, that wasn't. He was actually like a left-wing Jew, and then I confronted him after.
There's good and bad in everything, right? I'm a big believer that we're supposed to take the mundane and make it holy, right? That as a believing Jew, that's what I do, right? Social media, the internet, changed the paradigm. And I believe what we are changing the mundane. You could be up there surfing and wasting your time or doing bad things on the internet. We're using it to bring out the holiness, to bring out the good. Before social media, all you had was the establishment. And whether you're talking about the establishment press, the establishment of the Israeli government, the establishment of Jewish organizations, and they're not our voices. They never were our voices. The only time these views started to get out there in a strong sense is because individuals, like each one of us, started using these platforms. And that's the beauty for us to take advantage of the internet, even though they're always trying to shut us down.
Right.
Trying to?
Always shutting us down.
I also want to say it's important that even though we are spreading our voices, we are just people sitting in an ancient room in Samaria. It's the cameras we're staring at. It's all of the people, we the people. As an American, we all understand that. And I understand you realize we the people, taking that control and pride back into yourself and spreading this word to anybody with ears, eyes, and a brain and a heart. You are the warriors on the ground that's going to now take this ammunition and divide it amongst the troops.
Well, not just that, but let's just make it clear that, I don't know if you know, but Facebook in the United States, they don't allow to have promoted posts outside of your country because they're worried about political meddling and fake news and whatever. So actually,
give them their money anyways.
if I wanted to promote an ad on Facebook from Israel, they wouldn't allow it. So we're very reliant on everybody to share this, because if you don't share or retweet whatever we're doing, then it's just gonna die. So
That's true.
in order for everybody, I don't care, just one click and that's it, and that's all you have to do.
And come here, guys. Honestly, anyone that's watching this from outside of Israel, like, come here, not on a religious thing. I tell you, I'm the furthest thing from a religious person. I think they're all nuts. You believe in fairy tales, but God bless you, I don't care. As long as your fairy tale, God doesn't tell you to kill me, I'm cool with it.
This will be a different live video.
No, but this is important because this is the unity of Israel.
You need to.
Agreed.
You need to come here and see it for yourself. I have not met anyone, I haven't met people that have come here with an open mind, an open heart, who have walked out and gone, they believe the narrative that's being pushed around the world. You do see those that come in here who specifically are coming with an agenda. They're chasing after that one story and that one. But if you come here with an open mind and you want to see the truth on the ground, you need to get here. And I promise you this, you'll be back.
Yep.
That's just life in general.
Absolutely.
You know, that's just life in general. And I'll tell you the difference between the right and the left. I hate labels, but people, we talked about this before, is that the left builds their reality around their ideologies. Yeah. The right builds their ideologies around reality. And I think that when you keep open mind, open ears, open eyes, and you experience something, you should be open to let that transform you into something that's better, instead of digging in and becoming this, like, just a just an ass. I mean, what else is there to say?
Well, I want to touch upon, I believe what Avi just spoke about before in terms of bringing out, exposing his own personal identity, not connected to a religious aspect of Judaism anymore. You actually touched upon the secret sauce that is about the survival, not just of the Jewish people, but of any identity. Meaning the secret sauce for each and every one of you watching, because it has to do with you have a strong identity. You have a pride in your identity. You have a pride in your Jewish identity connected with your homeland, regardless of how religious you are. And I'll tell you right now, we're all different on our religious levels. We're not all the same. Some of us are better at some things. Some of us are worse at some things. We're all some of us not do this. It doesn't make a difference. But what joins us together and what allows for the Jewish people to succeed and here in the state of Israel is a connection to and a pride in our identity as Jews and a connection to our history. And that's the secret sauce for all of you. Don't let anyone take your identity away. Feel your identity, own it, and be proud of it, whatever that is. And that will allow you and your family and your next generation
And no,
to survive.
there's no zero-sum game here. Because I'm proud doesn't mean I'm taking away from you.
100%.
And what's please?
No, go ahead.
No, please say.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to turn it, this news item thing, you talk about proud in your identity. You would think that would be such a basic thing as, let's say, an IDF soldier to be proud of their identity and walk into a classroom at Hebrew University in Jerusalem and be able to study without being literally harassed by your classmates as a Jew in Jerusalem, in the land of Israel. But, this is a news item.
Just happened 2 days ago.
2 days ago, where a university professor at Hebrew U decides that she is going to reprimand or scold a member of the IDF for walking into her classroom in an IDF uniform. I mean, there are a lot of stories and news items which get me upset. But then there's like that one that makes me think that I'm going to go on a crazy rant and be like Ben Goldstein in a good way.
I love these rants.
And I mean that as a compliment. But in the Jewish state of Israel, listen, I would never, God forbid, advocate for a BDS of Israel. Okay, that would be insane. But the only way I think you could, and Hebrew University issued a statement which was baloney statement saying we respect everyone's right to express themselves and this is a classroom setting, all this garbage from Hebrew University. But if I was sitting at home and I was a donor to that university, I would rip up the next check. I would not give a check to a university where an IDF soldier, and this isn't an issue about left or right, by the way. This isn't about the so-called settlements or any controversial issues, because those on the so-called left, and again, I hate the terms also, they support the IDF. Jews all over the world support the IDF through a lot of different organizations, a lot of different ways to help our soldiers, left, right, or center. If you're a mainstream left-winger, not an extreme left-winger or whatever, breaking the silence or any of these other crazy groups. But this is something that I think touches everybody. The fact that a professor in the state of Israel today would reprimand somebody for wearing the green of the IDF makes me want to explode. And I'm usually pretty calm and cool, like the calm one of the group. But a story like that makes me absolutely livid. So withhold your money, I would say, from Hebrew U. And don't send your kids there. Send them to anywhere else. Send them to Bar Ilan. Send them somewhere else.
I'm surprised they're not going to change their name.
I'm going to smash the chair against the wall.
I want to bring up the exact...
That makes me insane. Go ahead.
Exact line of the professor. I don't know how many of you have seen it. I don't know if there's English subtitles yet, because she's talking to her and screaming.
Yeah, they have.
By the way, she's German. By the way, she's German.
She's German.
They have the transcript.
So what she said just shows. I'm sorry. It shows the depth and the non-values that exist within this liberal progressive mindset. What did she say to the soldier? Who she didn't have time to change. She's in the middle of her service and she came to class in her uniform, right? Because there are plenty of soldiers who serve while they're in class at university. So the professor goes to her. Just like the army service is important to you, the army civilization is important to you. Well, to many students here, the Ezrahi, the civilian civilization is important to them. And you have to be tolerant of them because they are against militarization in the army. So here she is screaming at her because you're not being tolerant of those who care about civilianhood, but it's the civilians who don't care about the military that allows them to live and be protected.
How surprising. A tolerant lefty preaching tolerance.
Well, it's the same university where you see Arab students that are on the dole of the country that are getting amazing education every year by the hundreds with signs saying Free Palestine, down with Israel, while they're studying at Hebrew
In that
University.
Yeah.
So this is the reality we all live in, and it's up to us to create this unity using the truth of Israel as a foundation.
So listen, we have about 5 minutes till we wrap it up.
Yeah.
And I want to try something new.
All right.
Right? This is to take from Ben Shapiro at the end of his show. He tells something that he likes, something he doesn't like about the week. So if anybody wants to go around something that was good, you've already said obviously.
I said something that was bad. Let me get back to you on something that was good. I'll think about it. If anybody else has something, I mentioned
Jerusalem bars in at night in the shop is awesome.
Jerusalem women.
Don't get me started. But your weather, I got man flu and it was hard to get here. Out of bed today was hard.
I heard it's worse than labor. Man flu.
Man flu is literally.
I'm scooting away from you.
Yeah, you're gonna get a bunch of. You're getting.
That was worse than the Mohammed one.
Listen, all right, something positive. The rain. It's been raining.
That was good. You're negative.
It's been raining. He doesn't like. He got the man flu, whatever that is. Actually,
41 degrees in Melbourne right now.
I actually,
I'm in Jerusalem.
I got back from South Africa where it was 30, 35. I got here. I also got sick, so I know what you're going through. But the fact that, like, even last night it was raining in the Gush, Etzion. The Kinneret is going up, and it is a blessing. So something positive this week in Israel. The rain. Hopefully it'll keep on going. We need the rain here. We depend on it.
Start next week.
Blessing from God. The rain. Keep praying for it. People who know me.
Start praying.
I'm going to pray hard.
People who know me know I love the winter. So let's have a long, long winter in Israel with a lot of rain. Keep it up. That's my blessing. That's my.
You got something?
Good news.
See?
Good news.
All right, so I'll start with the good and go to the bad.
Start with the bad. Go with the good.
Start with the bad, go to the good. All right, the bad is today. I mean, we touched upon it. We didn't deal with it, but another time. Today, the Israeli community of Amona, just a few minutes away from here, was evacuated again. You're talking about land that was purchased by Jews. Then the whole community was destroyed, and then the Jewish families there were expelled from their homes a year ago. Just a year ago, I was there doing live videos with Ari Fold, and we visited Gedalia and his wife, who lived a few minutes away. That was December 15th, 16th, something like that. 2016. That's when they were expelled and kicked out of their homes.
17th, sorry.
Right. In any case, so today. Again, they put 2 caravans up there, expelled, and it's just the injustice that we have to deal with and still the injustice that our political system, even with a right-wing government, they're not able to make the changes necessary, that there is justice, that the injustice of the justice system that allows illegal building by Arabs to go on all across the country, not just in Judea and Samaria, but in the Negev and the Galil, and the justice system doesn't take care of it, and the police don't take care of it. They started to take care of it with this government, but not enough. There is so much injustice out there of this discrepancy of a different law for Jews versus the Muslims. And we're here in this country to make a difference and to bring the change. Not everything's perfect. We have to make a change. Right? That's the sad thing. The good thing, and I'm going to go personal for a second. The good thing, life here is awesome on every level. And right now, my son, my nephew, my wife, my parents are putting on the finale show in Jerusalem of The King and I, Culture, the most professional English-speaking theater in Israel.
My wife loved it, by the way.
That's right. I saw them there. They went to the show that I went to. So life is beautiful here on every level, on a religious level, on a cultural level, on a tourism level, on a daily basis level. And life is what you make of it. You can complain about anything. No person's life is perfect. Even the richest person who has everything, he has many things or she has many things to complain about. It's about making lemonade out of the lemons, folks. And life here is beautiful.
Lemons out of lemonade.
Making lemonade out of lemons.
Lemonade out of lemons.
If you get lemons, make lemonade.
Exactly.
Right.
Correct. All right. And life here is beautiful, and I'm happy that last show tonight. And if you're in Jerusalem and you can still go watch it. Phenomenal. Next.
I think I'm only going to talk good right now because I'm so sick of the bad. And everybody sees the bad shoved in their face every day. And all I'm going to say is a little Hebrew phrase.
That was a pretty bad thing.
A prayer that we say quite often, which is Hine ma tov v'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. that what is wonderful and pleasant in this world, and when I say brothers, I'm always talking about everyone, brothers and sisters, when we can sit together like this and have open communication. Each one of us come maybe from a different tribe of Israel, from a different background, from a different lifestyle, but we can all unify here on this stage in ancient Shilo, where I can almost feel our people by the millions surrounding us right now, looking at the tabernacle, talking to Yeshua ben Nun, reaching across the desert where our people wandered for 40 years after vanquishing Paro, creating unity, eventually to reach this promised land that we sit on 3,000 years later, preaching and talking unity globally throughout the world. That is the good. And it should
Before 1948.
Before 1948, we existed. Believe it or not. I know.
For the now.
Gedalia.
Any last one?
All right, so I'll close it out. Bad
Wait,
news.
Avi, how did you do it?
You started.
I started.
You started.
He just wants to hear more from me.
He was complaining about the weather.
He likes
But he
the
likes the
accents.
Jerusalem girls and the He likes these Israeli accents. Okay, so something bad. It's election season, and I just kind of shut down. I just don't care anymore. What happens?
Green leaf, baby. No, I'm just joking.
Green leaf.
Let's do it.
No, listen. I don't know if anybody.
vote for somebody.
I don't know if anybody outside of Israel knows, but we have like.
Everyone loves Bibi outside though.
Yeah, he's a great diplomat.
His
No,
statesman.
he's a great statesman. But overall, you know, the how many parties are there? How many factions of each party are there? Everybody has to have their own voice, so they create a new party, and everybody cuts it down. And at the end of the day, they have to come together and pretend like nothing ever existed, nothing's spoken about them. So I usually just shut it down until the day before the election. I look who it is. Half good news. Well, it's very good news, but this isn't my good news part. Carolyn Glick is entering into politics finally. My good news. My good news is there was a attempted terrorist attack last week at Tzomet Har Bracha up north from here. There was an attempted car ramming attack onto soldiers and civilians. The soldier that shot and stopped the terrorist attack grew up 2 doors down from me.
No way.
I remember, I know him, as a kid, a little kid who I used to drive him down to the pool, and it just brings me so much pride and joy that my community specifically are raising children into young adults who are centered and are proud and are focused and know what they're here for and know what they have to do in the face of terror. And the way that he spoke with this big cloud over his face for the news would have brought so many tears to the strongest people in this world, because they're so proud that there's a generation today of Zionists, people who love and care for the Jewish people and are fighting against terror, not with their microphones and not with their cameras, but with their boots on the ground and their rifles in their hands, and they're protecting the people so they can get back and forth to work,
Absolutely.
into school.
And can I just say one last thing on my end? I can talk, of course, but a lot of words here were brought up that I don't like, including the word victim. I don't see us as victims anymore. I see us as targets, like we've always been. When you choose not to be a victim, you're no longer a victim. If you were shot at a bus stop, but you're growing up and raising your family and living in a way that is more powerful than any AK-47 round could ever penetrate, you're no longer a victim. You may be the target of evil, but us as Jews, we have always worn that yellow star since time immemorial. Immemorial. I'm losing my English. Hey. So we're no longer victims. At this point, I consider us targets like we've always been. No matter where you find yourself in the world as a Jew, remember that. Take precaution for who you are. Stand strong in who you are, and teach your children well, because they're going to need that armor.
And to that we say, Amen.
Amen. God bless you all from Shilo.
Let's go.
If anybody wants to stay on after, we're going to come off and maybe go on. We're going to do a little walk around ancient Shilo to show everybody. Thank you, everybody, so much.
God bless you all from Israel. Thanks for joining us.
Out of here. Shalom to the ancestral Jewish homeland.
Hey,
part of where it
what's
all
going
began,
on,
folks.
everybody? Thanks so much for joining us on this week's roundtable. Hope the picture was clear. Hope the volume was clear. There's a lot of noise now. We're just breaking up the roundtable, and I don't know if I'm going to go outside with these guys. Maybe I'll walk outside with these guys, because it's I don't know how great the view is from right outside the door here. But again, we're in an ancient place, an ancient building, a lot of history here. But if you missed any of the show, Yeah, they're telling us there's no internet outside, so we're going to stay in here. If you missed any of the show, you can go back on my page. You can go back and check it out on Ben Goldstein's feed. You can check it out Israel Video Network. You can check it out on Gedalia Blum on his page. No to BDS, sorry, on Twitter. So go to all the various pages on Facebook and on Twitter if you missed any of today's show. And since there's no internet outside, you're not going to get a full picture of ancient Shilo, but come visit Shilo. Why not? Somebody says it was hard to hear because of the echo. I apologize for that. Yes, we are in a building that's how old, guys? 2,000 years old? How old is this building? An old building. So sorry if the quality wasn't as good as usual, but we'll come back again. Please God, next week here, Judean Roundtable. Shalom, shalom from Shilo, Israel.